All right, hello. Welcome everybody who's joining us here to live today. And I want to thank you all. If you're watching this live, if you can leave a hashtag live, let me know where you're from. Or if you're coming in and you're watching the replay, again, do the same thing, hashtag replay. Let me know where you're from. Okay, today I've got a very special guest with me by the name of Elsi. Elsi, I've known for approximately, or probably just over a year, maybe, off and on. I first came accustomed to Elsi. She was working with a couple of mentors, a couple of coaches, and I was very impressed right from the word go as to what it was that you did and how it was that you conducted like your business and how you helped so many other people get started with their being online. So there's a little bit of a backstory, and I would really appreciate if you could dive in, give us a little bit of a backstory about Elsi, about what it is that got you all started online and where that's taken you.
Absolutely. So first of all, I wanted to say once again, thank you for having me. Hi to everyone who's watching. Hashtag live, hashtag replay. Do not forget, we will find you. So a little bit of backstory, not to make this too long. I always knew that I'm going to run an online business one way or another. I think I was like 14 or 15. The internet even wasn't such a thing as it is now. But everyone would ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up, right? And I would say, I'm going to have my own online business. And everyone would laugh and tell my mom, like, she's crazy. Like, what is she talking about? And they would ask me, like, what do you want to do? And I would say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to figure it out. And for many years, as I was growing up, I was signing up for different courses and trying to find what I want to do. I tried everything from freelancing to drop shipping. And, I tasted a little bit of everything. And in the meantime, I literally have worked almost any job you can imagine. I've been in sales, I've been a live presenter, receptionist, I've even been a housekeeper, anything really, a waitress, bartender. And I traveled a lot until kind of in a way I was hoping for, that amazing idea to hit me one day and then I would start an online business. But it rarely happens this way, right? So I had a moment of my life in 2018, I believe it was, when I was at like all-time low in my life. I was very depressed. I had ended a relationship, and I knew that, it's now or never. I could continue being depressed and kind of feel sorry for myself, or turn this into something positive and
Mm-hmm.
shoot for the stars in a way. So I packed my suitcases. I used to live in Austria at the time. I packed my suitcases and I moved to Spain without knowing anyone, without speaking the language, all by myself, just so I can literally lock myself in an apartment and just learn and study and test and experiment so that I would have no distractions, nobody I know. And this is kind of how I got started. I started as a public speaking coach for actually women who work in corporate because I've been a live presenter for a couple of years. And I leveraged that experience at first, but it didn't fulfill me. It didn't feel like what I want to do exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, but it wasn't as my calling, right? And then I started experimenting with different niches. I also have a lot of experience in sales before starting to work online. And I found myself being very passionate about sales, but the ethical version of sales, because I feel like in the online space, there is a lot of courses, a lot of people who are teaching you to be a shark, if you know what I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
just
Yep.
go and call DM and basically chase people down. And that was actually the first mentors that I worked with were actually trying to teach me that. And I did work with that method for a while, lots of cold DMs, a lot of sales calls with strangers and all of
Yep.
that. And it really didn't feel good to me. I remember like one day I was extremely exhausted. I was barely making ends meet. And I mean, considering I went full time before I even had a niche, I just thought, that is it. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. This is how you do it. And I remember I was barely making ends meet. I hated everything in my business. Every day I would just sit in front of my computer and cold DM 100 people on LinkedIn, try to get them on calls and try to sell, right? And it was so monotone and so boring, and people weren't really excited to talk to me or anything. Even if I ended up signing a client, they wouldn't really be eager to work with me. But it was just very, very uncomfortable for me as a process. And that is when I realized that there was just a huge gap in the market. I'm not saying there aren't other coaches who do that. Of course, there are many who actually teach the right strategies in the right
Yes.
ways. But I did realize that there was a massive gap. And if I could help people not feel the way I did, feel stuck and feel uncomfortable in your business, if I could do that, that would truly fulfill me. And I started experimenting with different strategies, and one of them was the story feature, which, as probably you know by now, is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And now I basically specialize in helping people attract more sales, attract more clients. And one of the main methods is by leveraging the story feature.
Fantastic, fantastic. So thanks very much for sharing all that. Now, you said you moved to Spain, you didn't know anybody, you didn't speak the language, you didn't have a job set up. What were you thinking?
That I can do anything. um, I was thinking literally that it's now or never. I had some money saved up. I took a small loan on top of that just to make sure that I could survive for quite a few months. I also had, like, I actually invested like a massive chunk of that in the end into courses and mentoring and anything. But I just locked myself in my apartment. I would just go for walks every day. I would eat at home. I would not really do anything outside. I would mostly focus on getting my business started. That was my number one priority. And I knew that I would not rest until I make it work. And in fact, like all of my friends or family members, everyone was telling me, you should find a job, you should find a job. You
Yep.
see, it's not working. You've been doing that for 3 months, 6 months. It's like, I am going to make it work. So basically, what I was thinking is that I can do anything. And if anyone is
Fantastic.
watching this, if you can take something from this story, is that you can do anything if you're set your mind to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you said you took a number of courses. Did
Hmm. Many.
well many. Okay, I was going to ask you, do you remember like how many? But it was like, did you know what you were looking for at the time, or was it a bit of a, what they call the shiny object syndrome?
I think I never really struggled too much with shiny object syndrome. I've always been very picky with what I invest in, even though I made a lot of bad investments. I was still, before I invest in them, I thought it would be a good one.
Yes, yes.
It always is. So in the beginning, when I quit my job and when I moved to Spain, my goal was to become a coach. I always had this idea of coaching and course creation business, but I knew I don't want to be a life coach. I just didn't feel like I am someone who can help people with just life coaching. And I've always been passionate about in general sales and business. And I knew that this is the direction I want to go, but I had
Mhm.
no idea how to do that or what to do. So basically, the first courses and mentorship programs that I invested in were all about becoming a coach, finding your first clients, and just marketing in general.
Right. Okay. Now you mentioned there about the about a method. There was a lot of cold DMs, a lot of salesy type thing. Okay. So how do you see that things have changed?
For me or in the industry?
Well, I guess for you, because like
Mhm.
you've adopted a different style.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think it's when I look at my business a couple of years ago and now it's like night and day, the difference. At the time, I was taught and told that it's the only way like to start is basically by just getting clients almost like you have to be chasing them and searching for them and almost forcing them, not exactly, but kind of, to go on a call with you and just close them, close them. It was all about the sale, all about the close. And I felt very uncomfortable. I felt very sleazy. I felt very unhappy with my business in general. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, like, if this is what running an online business feels like, I'm no longer sure I want to have it. Like, I don't think that this is what I want to do anymore after like so many years of
Yeah.
dreaming about it. And then now I've built a business model for myself that I literally don't do anything that I don't enjoy. Every single activity that I do in my business is something that brings me joy. The people that I talk to, I have like nice conversations. I never really force anyone. People who want to work with me come to me alone. And they're excited to sign up and they are looking forward. A lot of my clients end up coming back after a few months or after a year for like again and again and again. While at the time, like a lot of them would end up like ghosting you after some
Yes.
time. So the difference is really like night and day from be feeling forced and uncomfortable in your own business. And it almost felt like the worst 9 to 5 you can ever have when you have like a terrible boss. That's how I felt, even though basically I was supposed to be the boss. And now it almost doesn't feel like I'm working most of the time.
Okay. Okay. So a big turnaround, not only in like the way that you run your business from previous, learnings, to now run it the way that you want it, where you're running the ideal business where you're passionate about what it is that you do, and you're in total control.
Exactly. And I think that is the most powerful thing when you realize what you like doing and what you don't like in your business. And, there are so many programs, there's so many strategies out there that there isn't really right or wrong. There are a lot of people who maybe thrive on cold calling and they thrive on cold DMing. And as
Yeah.
much as I'm not a huge fan of that, if it floats your boat, fine with me, right? So the most important thing is that really to find what you enjoy doing and find a way to make it work for your business and for your goals.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, those times that you had where things weren't going your way, what what were you thinking? I mean, were there the times there that you thought just give it up, move back,
So
do
many.
something totally different? Yes.
So many. Especially in the first, I would say 6 months or so. I think I probably made like 1,000 for the whole 6 months. My first client I charged. It's funny. I recently remembered I had completely like erased it from my memory. I signed my first client for $400 for 3 months of coaching. And I was so happy, even though this is almost what you would get paid. Probably you would get even more at like a regular 9 to 5, but I was so excited and so happy. Basically it was what, like 12 hours for $400. And to me, it sounded amazing that someone is actually even willing to pay me for my skills. And yeah, like the difference is really big. And at the time, yeah, there's so many times I wanted to give up, so many sleepless nights, and you would cry and reevaluate, like, is it really worth it? Because when you haven't had that breakthrough yet, you don't really know. Maybe you're a day away, maybe you're a month away, maybe you're a year away. And I don't know really what kept me going, but I'm really happy that I kept on.
Very, very happy. So I was going to ask you, so what was your turning point for you? What was your breakthrough?
There has been a few, I would say, but one of the main ones. Can I give a shout out?
You can give a shout out. Of course you can.
Okay. One of the first breakthroughs that I think was really the most beneficial and the more like the biggest turning point for me was actually when I met Nikki and Josh from Good Karma Business. Yeah, so whoever's watching, if you're not part of their free community or their paid groups, go ahead and check them out. Their free community is amazing. So I was actually lucky enough to meet Nikki in person. It turned out we had both just moved to Spain in the same city, and we found each other in a Facebook group. And that was at the time when I started realizing that my strategies aren't working for me and I'm not really happy with what's going on in my business. But I also knew that what I'm doing, like as a coach, I had just repositioned myself and found my passion for sales. I knew that's working, but my strategies for getting clients weren't working, and was trying to figure out like what are the other ways. And me and Nikki met for a coffee, and we started talking about business and everything. And when she told me how their strategies work, and it's all about building relationships, and basically helping others out and getting them come to you, I was mind blown. And I think within a few weeks we became very good friends and we started working together. I joined their course and then we started collaborating. So I that was, I think, the first big turning point for me, was just
Right.
seeing that there are other ways that work better and people actually feel good about what they do on a daily basis. And that was just mind blowing for me. And then the second turning point was probably when I properly positioned myself into stories, which first started as an experiment. And again, Nikki has a doing in this. She told me, your stories are so good. You should do more. And I started focusing more on that. I made it a goal of mine to be posting a story every day. Doesn't matter what it would be. It would be, a picture of something, my food or a quote or actual talking video, just to be active every day. And I started getting so much interest. So many people would ask me, how do you do that? And how can I do that?
Yes.
And as an experiment, I launched last year in probably June, I launched a masterclass and I only promoted it in my stories, and it was about the story feature. And I had 60 to 70 people sign up, and that was the moment when I realized like this is definitely something that I should do more of, and things kind of naturally fell into.
Fantastic, fantastic, and they have been. I mean, like your stories are, and for those that I guess there are many people who don't take advantage of stories.
Too many.
So if you're one of those and you don't know about stories, put a question down below in the comments, and we're happy to answer your question or happy to write back to you and give you some help and guidance with it. But you're talking about stories, you're talking about how this really turned your business around, right? Yeah. So time-wise, I mean, like, stories are like within the Facebook, another add-on with what they do. How was it that you discovered these and decided to, go a little bit further with it?
That's a good question. How I initially discovered, I guess I kind of always knew it's there since I think 2018 or so when they appeared, but I really wasn't familiar with how to use them. All I would do is like most of us, I think, every now and then I would post a picture of, I don't know, some food or something that I'm having, and that would be it, literally. And the more I started learning about organic marketing and all of that, I started hearing more about stories, but there never really was enough information about it. And I guess that's what really sparked my curiosity. I realized that there is so much interest, but nobody's really talking about it. So I started kind of learning on my own and experimenting, and until today.
and experimenting, you've been expanding on it, the options that they offer and how to do things. And I was actually going through one of your videos just the other day, and to me it was like, oh wow, how do you do, I have to stop and go back and watch it, because there's things on there you just didn't even know you could do. So it's amazing to see like what is there, and the way that you explain it is fantastic too. So even for an old dog like me, you can learn a new trick. Wonderfully explained. Okay. All right. So you've come from a place where you started from absolute scratch, went into sales and as well as coaching, all that. Now you're doing like coaching online about stories and utilizing that service within the Facebook and dare I say Instagram side of things, because hey, look, they are interactive, so they work well together. I think they're owned by the same people, aren't they? And so what next? What's on the cards for Elsi now?
Oh, my next project?
Yeah, where are you going?
So there are a few things that I'm very excited about this year. For a long time, I've had people, since I've been so passionate and so openly sharing value about stories, I've had a lot of people ask me, do you do done for you stories? Can you do my stories for me? And I really don't have the capacity to do that because, running back end stuff in the business and also one-on-one clients and so on. But currently in the making is a social media agency. So within a couple of months, I will actually be able to provide that service, luckily with the help of also a small team. But that's in the making, and I'm really, really excited for that, for the agency. And we are on the way to 6 figures, which is also extremely exciting. And yeah, those are the two main things I think that I'm focused on right now, especially the social media agency.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations to you. That's well deserved. And, obviously you've put in a lot of hard work, a lot of groundwork to get to that. So congratulations. That's brilliant. Brilliant. So I guess like now breaking away, like talking about people coming to you, who is it that I guess stories can work for?
Honestly, everybody, in my opinion. I don't focus so much, or at least my audience and my clients are not so much into the product based, like the actual like product. Let's say, I don't know, candles or whatever. It's mostly affiliate marketers, coaches, service providers, and so on, mentors, right? But it can literally work for anyone as long as you have a business
Yes.
and you want to attract customers. Stories are perfect for you.
Okay. So with that, I mean, stories you mentioned there, you would take photos of food, you would put something on there every day. I mean, is there a like a good guide for like stories? What do you put in there? What don't you put in there? How many do you put in?
Yeah, so let's start from there. The guide of what content to create. I guess everyone who is familiar with organic Facebook marketing by now should know the result value lifestyle method. That is one of the best ways to start from is by simply playing around with results of value and lifestyle. So when it comes to stories, one of the things that I absolutely love about them is that they only last for 24 hours. So there isn't such a huge pressure to, edit it and to make it look so amazing because it only stays for 24 hours. So you can really experiment and play around. And another thing is that it's much more free. You can, if you want, just post 2 days of just lifestyle or just bump results or really whatever works for you and for your audience, right? And how many, I always say the more the merrier. So if you can keep it up to every day, a few times a day, that's absolutely amazing. But we are all human. Even I like to take a day, at least a week, just off and just to unwind, because otherwise it gets kind of addictive, social media.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so ideally stay consistent, which means that you need to find what works for you, right? If you still have a full-time job, maybe you won't be able to be as consistent, let's say multiple times a day, every day. But if you, let's say, are full-time in your business, then you most certainly can start experimenting and see what works for you. A good place to be is maybe like 5 times a week with at least like 2 times a day. That would be perfect. And apart from that, it's all about just learning about your audience, connecting with your audience, asking them questions, making it interactive, right? Instead of just keeping it to a monologue, like, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, or this is what I like. You want to say, this is what I like, how about you? Or have you tried that? Or what are your thoughts, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? You always want to keep it interactive. I think that's one of the best tips I can give you.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic. And look, for those of you watching, share some love. And I appreciate you all being here, and absolutely appreciate you, Elsie, for sharing this with us. So, those insights, that's just a tiny little bit of what Elsie does in helping people grow their business from online utilizing stories. So, if you want to know more, put a question in the comments and or send me a DM, and we will get back to you. We will send you the details and let you know. Send you a link to Elsie, so you can start talking to Elsie and start working on your stories to work within your business. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so all right, so this year, I mean, goodness me, we're almost down to 4 months left of the year. So you've got yourself quite a bit on your plate. Yes, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? So it is about creating, making the most of what you can do. I mean, people are online every day, pretty much, once you get your internet access sorted. But it's all about using what's there, be in touch with people, as you said, be real with people. The results, the value, the lifestyle. Not always about pushing sales, but just being you and just letting people know you're a real person.
Exactly. I just couldn't agree more. You said it so well. That's the thing.
I've learned from good people, that's why.
A lot of people would see my stories, and I am very often singing or dancing, and that is simply because this is who I am. This is what I do when there is no camera. So in fact, it was really hard for me to learn to start showing more of that side of me and integrate it into my business. But the opposite actually happens when potential clients or students see that and they tell me, "Oh, Elsie, but I'm not like you. I don't dance or I don't sing, so therefore stories are not for me." And that is a huge misconception that, in general, not only about stories, but that when you see someone else doing something, it does not mean that it's going to work for you, and it does not mean that you should be doing it the same way, right? It's all about finding what's unique about you and finding a way to connect to your audience and being your truest self. And again, when it comes to like singing and dancing and all of that, like as much as like everyone looks at my stories and says, wow, that's so amazing, I wish I could do that, but for me it was the opposite. It was so hard to actually open up and start sharing that. I was so many limiting beliefs, like we all have. Some people say, well, I'm not interesting enough. In my opinion, in my case, I thought I'm not professional enough, right? So everyone has those limiting beliefs. It's all about just cracking your shell open and slowly but steadily experimenting and just opening up and sharing more of you. And what we usually think is that if we share our deepest desires or secrets or weird sides of us, right? We think that when we do that, we're going to repel people away, that they're going to see us and think we are not professional, you're not interesting, you're not whatever. But it actually has the complete opposite effect. Like the more open you are, the more authentic you are, the more true to yourself you are, the more you're going to attract people who understand you and who have the same vibe. So I definitely recommend just trying and playing around with what works for you and being your true self at all times, even though it's really hard, I know.
Well, it is. And I think, like you said it well, I mean, everybody has those inner thoughts, the doubting themselves. But at the end of the day, you're living proof. You believed in yourself. Number one, you've got to be able to do that. And you went for it. Things weren't working. You changed directions and you asked for help. And hey, you're a standing testament to just continue to do what you want to do, feel passionate about it, and you will achieve it.
Absolutely, that's the most important thing, is to find something that you're passionate about. And I feel like after that, things just happen naturally. If you're passionate about it, you will also have more motivation to make you work, and things just happen if you
Well,
put it in
that's
a
it. That's it, right? So, yes, you do have to work. When you become an entrepreneur and you want to have your own business, you do have to work. There's nothing that's always going to be instant overnight. So you will have to, dedicate yourself and commit yourself to being able to build your business, right?
Agreed.
Fantastic. All right, Elsie. Well, listen, again, I want to thank you very, very much for joining us today. Any, I guess, last words from Elsie towards anybody who's contemplating, going online, creating their online presence? Last words of advice.
Just start today. That is always the one advice that I give. I give at the end of interviews, because that is the hardest part, is to start. Sticking to it is even easier than just starting. Look
Right.
at myself, for example. I think it took me 10 years to actually take action. And if I hadn't taken action at the time, probably I would have to wait another 10 years, right? So
Yes.
take action. We as humans, we tend to just wait for the moment when we're going to be ready. But the truth is that you will never be ready, okay? You will never feel like you know enough. You will never feel like, it's the perfect timing, because in life, nothing is ever perfect, right? So if it is about sharing your first story, post it today. I challenge you. If it is about creating your first post, or posting in a group, or just starting to talk about your business, or investing in a course, whatever it is, just start saving, start trying, start experimenting, just go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it perfectly. You don't have to be perfect to start, but you have to start to be perfect, right? And you've got to. It's you're continually learning and growing every single day, and it's moving towards being 1% better than what you were yesterday. Yeah. So
Exactly.
Terrific. And look, I've learned from people like you. You mentioned Josh and Nikki before as well. A huge shout out to them. They're brilliant in what they
Big
do.
shout out.
And yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So fantastic to see you and to hear, and all the very best for you for the rest of the year for what you've got going on. And
Thank
I look
you.
forward to being able to speak to you again soon, and perhaps have another interview and another update with what's going on. Again, everybody who's joined us today, thank you all very much. I really appreciate if you can hit the heart button, hashtag live, let us know where you're from. If you've got any questions, put your questions in below and I'll get back to those. If you're watching the replay, again, put a hashtag replay, let us know where you're from. And again, any further questions or you want to know a little bit more about Elsi, ask below and we'll definitely be in touch with you and give you a message. All right. So take care, Elsi. Wish you all the very best. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.